Welcome to the channel Smart Kiddos. Today we're going to continue teaching Scratch It coding. So in the previous videos, I taught you how to code in Python for kids and beginners, very simple, and we also started teaching Scratch It coding. So if you haven't seen those previous videos, please do check them out later. What are we going to learn today in this video? Today we're going to learn how to make a car racing game in Scratch. So let's start. So as you can see here, I've created a project and renamed it to Car Racing Game. Now let's create our sprite or car. I'm going to hover over the cat button here and choose paint option. So let's make the car using the shape tools. Alright, I created the car costume and I renamed it to Down. And I have duplicated the car costume 3 more times and have renamed them based on their position. So the second costume is up, so the car is facing up. The third costume is left, the car is facing left. And the fourth costume is right, the car is facing in the right direction. Let us create the backdrops for this game. Hover over the backdrop button and click on the paint option. Let's create 3 backdrops or 3 rounds for this car racing game. Each backdrop should have a different road pattern. Okay? And make sure that the grass color or the ground color for each of the backdrops is the same. I finished making the 3 backdrops for the car racing game. Each backdrop has a different road pattern but the same green color grass. Make sure to also add an end color for each backdrop. So for backdrop 1, it's purple. Backdrop 2, it's red. Backdrop 3, it's yellow. Make sure each end color is different for each backdrop. Let's do the code for the car sprite. So drag a when clicked block and then go to backdrops and make sure to switch the backdrop to backdrop 1 in the beginning because that is the first round. Next, make sure to show the car in the beginning. So you can drag the show code. Alright, now let's set the position for the car. So in the beginning, it should start here. To do that, you can go to the motion section and drag this block. Go to X and Y. Check the X and Y coordinates of the sprite and type the following. So the coordinates are correct. So let's click on the green flag. Yes, you can see the car is in the perfect position. Great. Let's do more code for the car. Now we're going to make sure that when we click on the keys, the car faces that direction. To do that, drag when click block, forever block, and inside the forever block, make sure to add 4 if statements. So for the first if statement, if, go to sensing section and drag if key and change this to up arrow. So if key up arrow is pressed, go to the costumes and drag switch costume to up. Next, drag the key down arrow. So if the user clicks on the down arrow, then switch the costume of the car to down. Next, let's drag if key right arrow pressed, then the costume should switch to right. So the car will face the right direction. And if key left is pressed, then the costume should switch to the left. Let's test this out. So click on the green flag. So up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, right arrow. So the car was facing towards its specific position based on the arrow keys that were clicked. Now I've added some code so that the car will actually move spaces. So if the key up arrow is pressed, Then we should switch the costume to up. The car will face up and change Y by 5. So the vertical axis, so the car will move up by 5 spaces. So it's a positive number 5 for up arrow. Now, if key down arrow is pressed, it should face the down direction, the car, and it should also move down 5 spaces. So in the vertical axis, it should move down. So change Y by -5 because we are moving in the down direction. Next, I have given if the key right arrow is pressed, face towards the right, and make sure in the horizontal axis or the x-axis that it should move towards the right side. So +5 for right arrow. And if key left arrow is pressed, face towards the left and go towards the left side. So -5, but still in the horizontal axis. So make sure to do the following that I am showing you. I've added 2 more position blocks here so that when the car is in the next backdrop, it should start in the backdrop's beginning position. So for backdrop 3, make sure to go to this position, which is over here. And for backdrop 2, the car should go to this position over here. So you can do the position block based on your backdrop and make sure the car is fitting inside the road. Okay guys, so I've added this blocks of code now. So when the backdrop switches to the first backdrop, make sure to add this. So forever loop if the car is touching a specific color. So make sure to select the color. So click on this circle button, choose this option and choose the color. So choose your end color. So if touching that specific purple end color, then the backdrops should switch to the next backdrop or backdrop 2. So I did a similar thing over here. When the backdrop switches to backdrop 2, if touching the red end color that I have put, switch backdrop to backdrop 3. And the final backdrop, so third level, if touching the yellow end color, then switch backdrop to win. What is this win? Well, I created a backdrop over here. So if the user passes all the endpoints or passes all 3 backdrops or levels, then this win backdrop should show on the screen. Let's test things out so far. Click on the green flag. Okay, I'm using the arrow keys. I am moving the car. Let's see, I'm going to the purple endpoint. Yes, and the backdrop is switching. That is good. So things are working. Now let's add something really important. What if the car touches the grass? Then game over. Make sure to add these lines of code for the car sprite. When clicked, forever loop. Make sure to add that because we need to check this condition forever. So if the car is touching the grass color, so use this tool and select the grass color. Make sure the grass color is the same for all 3 backdrops. So if the car touches this grass color, then game over should pop up. To do that, create a new sprite by clicking on the paint option and use the tools here to make the game over backdrop. So I'm gonna make it plain black. It should fill everything. And I'm gonna add a text here. So game over. I'm going to make the text color red so that you can see. And I'm gonna make it big. All right, let's make it that it is visible on this screen. Perfect. In the car sprite, I have broadcasted game over if the car is touching the green grass, and make sure when game over is received to stop everything in car. Now go to the game over sprite. Just going to rename this to game over. All right. So when I receive game over for the game over sprite, make sure to show. All right, and of course, when clicked, hide as this shouldn't show in the beginning of the game. I'm just going to add a small thing. So for the car sprite, for this section of code, when clicked, switch backdrop to backdrop 1, show, go to position. Make sure to switch costume to right so that it will start with this costume in the beginning of the game. Last but not least, I'm going to make the car size a little less. So it's 65 currently. I'm going to make it 55. There. Let's test this game once and for all. Click on the green flag and start the game. So I'm moving the arrow keys. Oh, I touched the grass. Game over. Hooray! We won the game. That was fun. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. Bye!